Welcome to the Road to a Million. And I was telling Katie right before you guys got on here, she's been gone. She's been absent for the last 2 weeks. She's been on vacation, like legit. Like not, I'm not joking around, guys. This girl was on vacation for 2 weeks from this call. She was in a different country, hanging out with in a bunch of Irish pubs, getting hammered with Irish people, and now she's back. Now she's back, and her she's got a consequence because everything in life, guys, whether it's good or bad, there's always two sides. With every pro, there's also a con. There is nothing that doesn't have another side to the bad expression, a coin, right? Coins always have two sides. Everyone's like, there's nothing wrong with having too much money. What's the country song, Katie? I ain't never had too much fun, right? And the whole song's about like too much money, too much, like a girl too pretty, a car too fast, being too lucky. I can't remember what the other one was, but it rhymes with something. Um, but you can have too much fun. You can be too pretty. You can have too much money. You definitely can have a car way too fast. And there's definitely cons to everything. And so Katie's consequence for being gone for 2 weeks, she gets to host this thing today. So Katie, you to take over today.
This is great because you told me this just now. So zero preparation, guys,
Yeah.
but um, I will actually co-host with you, Logan, today because you're here and you pinned yourself. You didn't only pin me, so we're gonna do this
Well,
together.
you can actually just share maybe some things you learned from Ireland. Some yeah, whether it's somehow like like what are some takeaways that you learned from being in a different country that could be applicable to everybody on here today? How about that?
That's great. Yes, my biggest takeaway from going to a different culture and experiencing their day to day was in Ireland. They talk funny. It sounds a little bit funny. And they all speak English. Gaelic is actually their native language, but everybody's bilingual. They all speak English as well. But they do not speak in figures of speeches. So something like holding my employees' hands, um, they just tell you like it is. They're very clear and they articulate really well. There's no room for like misinterpretation because they say it like it is. And I think that was my biggest takeaway is we have a 6-year-old daughter, and every single time that I say like, "Oh my gosh, I went down a rabbit hole," she's like, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "That's a really good question. I did not physically go down a rabbit hole." Like, let me tell you what that expression actually means. So I find myself paying more attention to the way I communicate because at the end of the day, like all growing a company is, whether it's a cleaning company, which we all are together have, whether it's a family that we're growing, whether it's a relationship that we're growing, it all boils down to the ability to be able to communicate. And not only communicate in a manner that is understood by the other person, but that also articulates your thoughts that you are trying to convey to the other person. So that was my biggest takeaway was being able to understand everybody in Ireland.
Like it, like it. Well, let's see if you guys can understand what it takes to grow $1 million business. So some of you guys have been here for a while and some of you guys are new here, but Katie and I have been doing this call for 62 weeks. I should say that. I've been doing it for 62 weeks. Katie's been here for 60 weeks. She left me high and dry the last 2 weeks. But for 62 weeks, we have been doing this call. We've been documenting our journey. And the main reason that we documented the journey, selfishly, was to hold us accountable. Because you know what is difficult, you guys? Growing a freaking business. It is very hard. Very hard, especially when you start from zero, like zero clients, zero reputation. And it's tough. It's very tough. And so that was the biggest reason we did this was just like when I knew I was going to want to quit, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I know myself. I should say that I know that I've quit things in the past and I know that I have not quit things in the past. And the things that have stopped me from continuing on versus quitting is just like somebody else knowing that I have this goal and I would look silly if I did quit. But I can, the term silent quitters or silent quitting, I think it's a reference to employees. The reason why it's popular is because that's what people do. Like they silently quit. If nobody knows their goals, if nobody knows what they're trying to achieve, then it's okay if they don't hit them. But if everybody knows, then that would make me look bad, and I don't want to look bad. So I will do things that are required that I don't really want to do to not do the thing I really don't want to have happen, which is me look bad, bring down my status. And so one of the biggest hacks um, that I have ever discovered is public accountability, or even peer accountability, or even coach accountability, right? Whatever it is. Having somebody who gives a shit about me, where if I quit, they're gonna be like, why?
That's important because sometimes the partner that you want to help hold you accountable will actually like crush your ability to be able to hit the goals. They're like, it's okay, just like do this once. So you have to be
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
careful with who your accountability circle is.
Yeah. And that's usually the problem with having peer partnerships is because you're having other people who are in the same situation as you try to hold you accountable to a goal that neither they have hit or you have hit. So like, oh yeah, of course, like clients are, gosh, clients, they just don't respect us. And employees, they just like, they should just show up, but they don't. Right. And so you got to be careful who you let hold yourself accountable. And that's why peer, like strictly peer groups don't usually work. And that's why like a family doesn't necessarily work unless, unless those people have achieved what you've wanted to achieve. Because if they have achieved what you want to achieve, then they'll be like, then they're the best. Then they're the best. That's why like you see people who like have successful families, right? Or you see successful groups, is because those people actually know what it takes. And the moment you're like, but my clients or my cleaners, they're like, shut up. Shut up. Like, go do these processes. Actually, they'll ask you, did you do these processes? And they'll be like, go do those processes. Go do this system. Go do these actions. Go do what's required. Like, do I have to? Like, no. But if you want to grow, then yes. If you want to complain, like, go somewhere else. I don't want to hear it. Right. So that's the accountability that you want, but it's also the accountability that people also, it hurts your feelings though. It'll hurt your feelings. It'll hurt your feelings. And so that's why doing anything, getting better at anything is difficult because what it takes is you not being good enough. And the only way you can get better is by recognizing you're not good enough and then seeking help, asking for help, doing different behaviors. Yeah. Not being successful for a much longer period of time than you are successful. And that's not a trade most people are willing to make. So without further ado, let's dive into the vision sheet and talk about week number 62 of Mace 5-Star Cleaning. Yes, so like I said, we've been doing this call for 62 straight weeks. One of the reasons is, public accountability for Katie and I. But then the second reason, what you guys can get out of this is you guys can see exactly what it takes. You can see exactly what it takes to go from zero to last month we did $70,000 last month, and I was in 62 weeks. So yeah, it's like, in case you guys are wondering, that's not normal. Um, go find that go find that anywhere on the internet right now, and you're not gonna be able to. Like it's not normal. And so there's a lot to be learned from this of like what it takes to go from zero, and we'll eventually get to 83K. I don't know how long it's gonna take. We're not there yet. But you'll see that it's not just up. And in fact, right now, you guys are actually getting to experience a down. You guys are getting to see what happens. Like, this is the reality. I've helped, you guys can see behind me. You guys can see this behind me. There's 3 plaques behind there. There's 3 plaques behind there. Those are 3 different people I've helped grow $1 million businesses. Okay. And none of them have been like this. None of them have been straight up. They've all been up and down, up and down, up and down. And those downs seem really, really long. But when you actually like hold back and I look back at the chart over the course of over the course of years, like the downs really aren't that long. But we feel the downs the most. We feel the downs the most. We feel like they're in them forever. And so it's important to just understand, have expectations that like it's not all up. The best businesses in the world don't always go up. There's a myth in real estate that real estate always goes up. Katie, is that true? Has all the
No,
real estate that you bought, has it always gone up?
no.
Yeah. Welcome to that game. So fun. Business also is the same concept, is that it doesn't always go up. Okay. And so, yeah, again, for you guys, it's to be able to see what it actually takes. What are the inputs required? What are the actions? What are the systems and processes I need in order for me to grow from my business from 0 to 10,000? How do I go from 10,000 to 20,000? How do I go from 20,000 to 40,000? How do I go from 40,000 to 60? How do I go from 60 to 80? Right? And then how do you go from 80 to 100? Right? That's what this call is for. So you guys can see what are the systems that are necessary? What are the inputs required? And then really, do you have the persistence? Do you have the perseverance? Do you have the grit to actually keep pushing when all of a sudden the resistance against you is much more than you've ever felt before? And just because it's the most you've ever felt before, it doesn't mean it's the most that you can handle. But very similar to weight training, resistance training, by the term of it, is like you don't get stronger without the resistance. You get stronger from resistance. And so in business, it is the same. You get better at business through challenges, through overcoming challenges, through facing challenges, through losing money, losing clients, losing cleaners, losing your sanity. That's how you guys get better. And when you understand that that's what's required, then almost like after a workout, have you guys ever done a workout and you're like, oh, I feel sore? Like, do you feel like there's a probability that that workout is going to get you the effect you want because you feel sore? Or when you're like, I didn't really get sore. Like, am I going to get the effect I'm really looking for? Business is similar. Like, if you're not feeling pain, if you're not feeling like you don't know what the heck you're doing, if you don't feel like you're in chaos, then like you're probably not pushing hard enough. You're not actually pushing. You're not putting enough. You're not going into the resistance enough for you to discover the level of effort that is required. Because as much as like this game is complex, it's actually very simple. There's a few skill sets that you have to learn, and once you have learned them and you're able to consistently do them, then your business grows. And so that is the goal of this call: is to systematize something that seems very, it's almost like magic, right? Have you guys ever seen the videos where the magician, and this is real popular on social media right now, where the magicians will show you how they do the tricks? You guys seen those videos where like they show you like the behind the scenes of like, well, this is how you do this trick? You're like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. But when you see the trick from the audience, you're like, how'd they do that? You're like, it's magic, right? So they call it magic. But then you see how they do it, and you're like, could you do it then? You're like, hell yeah, I could do that trick now. That is what this is, guys. $1 million business, magic. This is the behind the scenes. This is us showing you the magic tricks. And there are no tricks. They're just systems and processes. Okay. Okay. So Mesa 5-star cleaning, projected monthly revenue, 57,000. And so we started the month out at 50,300. This was super scary. You guys can't see the data from 6 weeks ago, but we started April out with $64,000, $65,000 like to start the month, right? And we only finished with like at 70. So like we didn't grow that much. However, this month in April, we started out with 50,000, which is pretty scary. And then the first week, 51,000. We didn't grow very much. I was like, oh crap, this is scary. This week we had a much better week, and we're projected to do 57, which is still much lower than we've done before. And yeah, as we get to the bottom, you guys will see why these numbers are the way they are. Last 30 days revenue is 65,000. So you guys can see it's consistently going down. 4 weeks ago, we were at 77,000, then 74, then 66, then 66, then 65. So as you guys can see the trend, it's not trending in the direction that most people would want it to, including myself. Next 30 days revenue is $44,000. Trailing 12 months revenue. So a trailing 12 months revenue, if you guys don't know what that is, it's just like, you know how everyone says like my business is a $500,000 a month business or a year business, or I have $1 million business as an example. So most of the time, we account for that on an annual basis. But if you guys want to see how your business has done just in the last year, then you would call that a trailing 12 months. Inside your QuickBooks, the report is actually a trailing 365 days. So that's what this number is. This is our trailing 12 months, also known as trailing 365 days, which means that from May 16th, 2025 through May 16th, 2024, we have produced $617,000. Okay. So that's a good number for you guys to be able to track because you guys, you'll see here, 4 weeks ago it was at 575. Then 3 weeks ago it was at 588. Now then it was at 600. Then it's at 608. Then it's at 617. So despite the the um, the revenues going down compared to last month, compared to last year, we're up about looks like about $8,000 a week. We're up from last year. Would any of you guys be okay if your business was up $8,000 a year from last year? Okay. So this is why the data is so important is because we're very much knee-jerk reaction and like in especially in a small business, like yeah, you are a victim to like today and tomorrow and to next week. But the sooner that you can get yourself into a situation where you have timelines, that's a medium size. And if you look at like businesses, like they have and business, those are the businesses that are really big is because while people are thinking about this week, survive this week, how to survive next week, like they're thinking about how to be successful for the next 10 years, how to be successful for the next 20, right? And so your goal is not to try to 10 years out or to get on their level. Just your goal is just to like be able to forecast a month, forecast 6 months, right? You're just trying to get out of the reactionary of like day to day, okay, or the week to week. So that's a good number to track. Current monthly revenue is $33,000. Weekly revenue is 14,000. So last week was at 12.8. This was our lowest weekly revenue since October. So we had not had a revenue below 13,000 since October. And then, yeah, last week we actually started out with the lowest I've ever seen. We started the week out with $10,000 in the books. I was like, whoa. And then after Tuesday, it was still $10,000. I was like, uh-oh. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it started to pick up a little bit. So again, this is where, yeah, $14,000. It's definitely not even close to 19,000, which is where we were about 3 months ago. But now we're making progress again. And I think ultimately that's what Kate and I talked about is like our current business is $1 million business. Like we were right there, and our current business is not. And so we have to reset expectations, and which means we have to reset what is possible in a weekly time frame. And so, yeah, this is one of the numbers that we're gonna reset going into June. Is this weekly revenue goals because like we're not $1 million business at this point. Total recurring clients, yeah, you guys can see this too, like 165, 167 3 weeks ago, 167 2 weeks ago, 158, 155. So this number continues to go down, and recurring client numbers going down isn't going to help the revenues go up anytime soon. Weekly cleans 59, and then revenue per clean 238. Cleaners 14. Assigned cleaning hours was 19. And then total assigned cleaning hours is 228. So, okay. So let's talk about this revenue here. So the $14,000 of weekly revenue, we break that down into initial clean revenue and reoccurring/occasional client revenue. Katie, why do we do that? Why is that an important number to track? Like to be able to track the differences inside that weekly revenue?
Yeah, so we can project growth rates. If we do not have a solid recurring base, there's no way that you would ever be able to sell $83,000 a month in new initial cleans. Like right now, we have a goal of $6,000 per week in initial cleans, which means that we need to have $13,000 of recurring revenue in order to hit our $19,000 goal. So the larger that recurring base is, the easier it is to grow revenue because you have to sell less initial cleans. So the ultimate goal is to grow that recurring base to above and beyond 13,000, so we can ensure that we actually hit that $19,000 weekly revenue.
Great. And one thing that I wasn't very clear on, and again, this is where like the reason that our business is going down has nothing to do with the market. It has nothing to do with the season, taxes, summer, spring, external. It has nothing to do with external. It has 100% to do with us. It is in February when we had our first $19,000 week, we had 16 cleaners on our team. Today, in May, only 2 of those cleaners are still on the team. It's very difficult for a business to grow when you lose 14 of your 16 cleaners. And so that's why we're in the situation that we are, is we had to rebuild our team from 2 people. And so that's why. So it was 100% an us thing, as zero to do with the market. And I think that it's always the natural reaction, our natural reaction to point out and be like, oh, it's got to be the clients, it's got to be the cleaners, it's got to be the market, it's got to be the season. It has to be something that's not within our control. And I think as an entrepreneur, the sooner that you can get to the belief that everything is in your control, the faster you can make progress. Is because a lot of times we wait. We're like, okay, well, the season isn't right, so I'm gonna wait for the season to end. Right now people don't have money, so I'm just gonna wait for people to have money. I'm gonna wait for the economy to change. I'm gonna wait for interest rates to go down. I'm gonna wait for tax returns to come out. And it's just not true. That's the reality. There may be seasonal tailwinds, and there might be seasonal headwinds, but again, you just must understand that it's just that. It's just less resistance, more resistance. And so your response to more resistance is to increase your effort. And the response to less resistance, most people decrease their effort, but like that's when you should like increase your effort even more because it's easier. So
one thing that I think is really awesome in this situation, if you scroll up just a little bit, Logan, so we can see the recurring numbers as they're trending down. So 4 weeks ago, we had 167 recurring clients. If you guys consider that none of those recurring clients, except for probably 8 to 16 of them, are seeing the same cleaner that they saw in January today,
yeah,
but 155 of them are staying, this is because we have an amazing standard at every single clean. The things that clients prioritize when they receive service from you is consistency and reliability. Like they want you to show up and they want to experience they want to have a consistent experience delivered. So because we have the standards and we hire on values, even though they are different humans going into the clean, the experience stays somewhat similar. And that's why I truly believe that recurring loss is not greater than what we've actually seen, because we have built the entire system around teaching the new hires the standards to deliver a similar experience as their colleagues.
Yeah. Those 4 standards that we use are something that Kate and I spent ungodly amounts of money in order for us to come down to a simple 4 standard framework that any cleaner could follow. And that framework is something that I share, inside our coaching community. And the people who actually utilize it are smart, because you can try to figure out your own standards, or you could just take our experience of all of our businesses and all of our clients who we coach and the money who we spent to a man probably who's more intelligent than all of us combined to be able to come out with a simple 4 standard process that if our cleaners just do these 4 standards at every single clean, the probability of them delivering a 5-star experience is extremely high. And so that's why the standards are super important. And then the next question is, well, why do we lose all these cleaners, right? So why is it only 14, or why did 14 to 16 cleaners leave? And yeah, I mean, it's never just one thing. We believe the biggest thing is that there's a change in management. So Katie and I were the ones who hired these people, and we brought them on, and they got a lot of Katie and Logan attention. And then we have since brought on office staff and continue to move them into leadership positions where now they're taking care of one-on-ones, and they're the ones who are the touch points for the cleaners. And some of these old cleaners, or part of these 14 out of these 16 cleaners, they've been on the team longer than their office staff, than the girls who come into the office. And a sense of mom and dad, which is Katie and I, no longer being their direct reports and having contact with them, along with maybe a sense of like, well, I deserve to be in the office versus them being in the office. Also, maybe just not as much respect from them as well. And also, like, Katie and I just not doing a great job of communicating the transition and the changes. I think that's probably ultimately the biggest one. It's just us not communicating effectively. And yeah, and then also a combination of like all these cleaners also like going to the same company. So like that also there was like another little element that we haven't ever talked about. But yeah, so like one left and the other one's like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And yeah, and by the way, like Katie and I, we Katie sent me a picture of like all the cleaners that were on our team now on this other team, and I was like, I would hire six of those eight cleaners again. Like they were like really good cleaners, and so like we also just lost really good cleaners too. Like they were good, like really good, and I have a lot of respect for all of them. And you know they did what was in their best interest, and I expect people to do that. So I don't hold anything against them. And so our goal is just to learn from them. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to learn from them and trying to make our culture better and try to make our systems better. And yeah, now our office staff, they have the opportunity to like grow the culture. And now it's their people instead of Logan and Katie's people. And so yeah, lots of lessons to be learned. And also at the same time, it's also cool to see that we also can like we also have systems and processes to be able to like bring cleaners on. Like we don't have to be dependent on a certain person. We can hire, we can train, and we can get new cleaners. We can get clients who like new cleaners as well. And so that in itself is a skill set that won't keep you trapped to maybe a crappy cleaner who's like who you feel like you're getting held hostage, right?
I also
Because
think it's like a compliment to the culture that we did create with those cleaners all leaving because they all loved working together. It wasn't the cleaning job and it wasn't the
yeah,
camaraderie that they had together. Another element that Logan, I don't think you touched on right now was just having C and D players continuously
mm,
in the
yeah,
team, stealing the attention that the A players should have been getting.
yeah,
So you
really good
lose
point.
all of the A players when you spend all of your time coddling, training, trying to make the C and D players become A and B players. And the A and B players will not wait around and they will not tolerate that.
Yeah,
So I think it says a lot about the culture that we did build. And it honestly provides a lot of hope for me in that we can do it again. This is not the first mass exodus that we've ever experienced. Definitely probably won't be the last, but every single time we learn from the the situations and we can change behavior moving forward. So it's not as impactful. But I think we did a lot of things right. And I do think that there were two big indicators in the mass exodus, and it was lack of communication of the vision and what was to come by Logan and I, and then also just tolerating very poor behavior from the lower half of the team, which caused the top half of the team to be like, I won't tolerate that. I'm out.
yeah. And this is the problem that we ran into is like so then you would ask, well, why did you tolerate the bottom half? And the reality is because like we were so concerned about chasing revenue goals that we was like, well, we need another person so we can continue to add cleans to the schedule. And looking back on them, I think that was a big mistake too, is being so focused on the growth of the business versus being so focused on growth of the talent of the team. Because if you grow the talent of the team, the business will grow. And so I think that's been a change in mindset as we rebuild this culture again. It's like as soon as I see somebody, I'm like, okay, we gotta like grow this person. Like this person, we got to be able to keep. We got to pour into them. And if we just keep doing that, we keep on finding great cleaners, and we keep pouring into them, then the business will grow. Because how many of you guys know that like when you put a great cleaner in a home and a client has a great experience, that they're like, I want her back. I want her back. And like it just makes the sale easier. And so yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, so thank you, Katie, for sharing the difference between the initial clean breakdown versus the recurring, why it's important. We've received $29,000 inside QuickBooks, $1,000 less than 7 days, greater than 7 days, 2,300. Yeah, this number we put this on our Mesa Vision thing just to look at, Katie. Well, this number continues to stay high, so gotta make sure we get that taken care of. And then discounts. Woo, we got some discounts here. Let's see why. We had 4 correction cleans, so at $421, that's pretty big. 3 10% discounts. Those are all for Google reviews. We had a homepage voucher, $50. We had a couple of $25 off flash sales. We had a referral. That's nice to see. Cleaning for a reason. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's the first time you heard that. So cleaning for a reason. These are cleans that we do for free. So this is a client who is either going through cancer, um, or is or just is in treatment, or even sometimes just like they're just very sick. So it isn't like we don't limit this just to cancer, um, but we will do a free clean for them. The cleaners will get paid as they normally would get paid, and the client just doesn't pay, which means that us as the company, we just eat the cost of it, right? And so we did one of those last week for Kelly, and then we just had looks like these were discounts. These were probably offers that we sent as well. So we were sending offers to fill the cleaner schedules. And so altogether, we spent about $1,000 to in discounts last week, which is higher than normal. But looks like we also had to fill the schedule, so that was a problem we were facing. And so if you bring cleaners on, one of the fastest ways to lose them is to not give them a full schedule. And so it does cost. It costs. Like that's why I think that's why business can be challenging, is because you start a business to make money, but in order for the business to really work, you have to invest money into it, but you don't necessarily have a plethora of money or an abundance of money. And so you're like, what the heck? And this is why only 7% of businesses make it to $1 million and 93% don't, is because the thing that it takes for you to get to 1 million is investing money that you can't afford, that you don't have. That's not there yet. You have to create it. And that's why entrepreneurship is like such a fun game, is because like 62 weeks ago, this business wasn't here. 62 weeks later, there's $14,000 of revenue on the books. Like that was created. And you guys all have those same stories in your businesses too. Like before you started, it was not there. And now there's money there. Like that's a creation. There's something magical about that, right? And the level at what your business continues to grow is going to be the level at like who are no for now, listen, think about it, and then not converted yet, and then you can cancel for first clean. So we definitely used up our internal marketing last week. This is one of our best ways to fill schedules is internal marketing. And so if you guys are unfamiliar with internal marketing, these are all people who have already showed interest in your business. So they came in through a Facebook ad or Google LSA ad, or they just came off your homepage, or they called you, or they texted you, or they're an existing customer, or they're an old customer. So this all incorporates your internal marketing list. And if you're currently not utilizing this list, it's like one of your best lists. Like if I were to buy a business, one of the things I'm looking at is what is their internal list. So last week, Katie and I had a very cool opportunity. We got to hang out with a fellow cleaning business owner in our same market, and they're doing over $200,000 a month in revenue a month. So that's about $3 million in annual revenue. And yeah, and they wanted to hang out with us. They're like, hey, can you come teach me some things about marketing and sales? Like that's what we're good at. That's what we're like really, really good at. And then they gave us lots of advice on everything else in the business, which I would consider us like we're okay at. But yeah, it was cool because Katie asked them, how many people do you guys have inside your database? And then Katie, what was his number?
71,000, I think, or something like mind blowing. I can't remember. I was so dumbfounded. I totally forgot the number, but it was like crazy.
I was like, holy crap. I was like, yeah, no wonder why you guys are so, and like, and their method, guys, is just like they send messages every single day. I was like, yeah. Like think about this, 70,000 people. Like, yeah, that's like, it's crazy. 70,000. Like they have a whole city inside their CRM. So that's what I was thinking about the whole time. I was like, Bozeman, the market that our first business is in, has 50,000 people. I was like, they have a whole Bozeman inside their CRM, the whole town. I'm like, yeah, I could make a lot of money if I had the whole town of Bozeman in my freaking CRM. And so, but like that's the type of thinking, because like as a new business owner, I didn't even know that was like I didn't know that I would market to those people, right? I didn't even know that was an option. Even when I had them, I was like, I don't know what to do with them. I would text them once, they'd be like, no, and then I would never text them again, right? I would cancel, and I would think that they're canceling forever. I'm like, so I would never message them again. And like your internal marketing list, like that's the juice. And so how do you build it now? So the first one is like you have it, by golly, send them messages. It doesn't cost you anything to send them a text message. You have all reward. The reward could be a client could say yes, and the risk is they don't respond. That's the biggest risk. Or they just say no, or they just say take me off your list. And so you just do what they say. Like that's the risk. Reward, make money. Risk, get told no, hurt the feelings. Okay? Like understand risk reward. Now, the question is, how do you build that list? How do you get to 70,000 people? This is how, guys. You market. You spend money to get leads. Okay? Because the cool thing about spending money to get leads is that you can make money on marketing today and you'll make money on your internal marketing list forever. Okay? This is why they came to me because they're like, I want to figure out this piece, Logan. And so I'll tell them exactly what I told you guys. I was like, marketing is very simple. For every dollar you put into marketing, if you can get $5 back in 7 days, like you win. You have won the marketing and sales game. That's something that every single person ingrained in your brain. If you can put $1 into marketing and you can get $5 back out, you have won. Okay. Now, let me actually show you a practical example using our business. So last week we spent $776 on Google Local Services. We spent $1,345 on Facebook for a total of $2,000. Okay. We didn't spend money anywhere else. $0 anywhere else. We got 107 leads through Facebook. Okay. At $12.58 a lead. It's crazy. It's actually pretty good. We had 11 people who called us that we didn't answer. We had 9 Google Local Services, $86 a lead. It's high. We had 13 homepage leads. 13 people came to our website that we don't pay anything on. We don't pay SEO. We don't pay someone to rank us. Never have done that ever. 13 people came to that website. And we had 18 people who called us who were not contacts. They were not leads before this. They were not inside our system. So we had 158 people. We had 158 leads last week at $13.43. Now, the question that people would ask is like, why do you account, if you only spend money on Google and Facebook, why do you account for missed calls and homepage leads and incoming call leads and even referrals if you're not paying for those? And here's the thing I can tell you is that while we don't pay for any SEO, these homepage leads, they either saw us on Facebook or they saw us on Google and somehow they end up on our homepage. Okay. Same thing with missed calls. They saw our Facebook ad or they saw our Google LSA ad and they just decided, actually, it wasn't LSA ad because if it was our LSA ad, then they would have called this number. But they probably saw us through Facebook. That's a high probability. That's where most people. And we discovered this by just asking people questions. Like when we're on a phone call with them, like, yeah, I saw your Facebook ad. But I was like, you didn't come through the Facebook funnel. You actually just called me, right? Like these are the experiences that like I have done for you guys, and I've been doing this. So again, if you guys don't know, I've been doing this since 2017. So it's not like I've just started this. This company was just started last year, but we've been in business for 7 years, and our first cleaning business started in 2020, right? But I've been running this specific Facebook funnel since 2017. It just was a gym versus cleaning business, and that's why I was explaining to these guys last week as well. Was that the same way we ran our Facebook ads for our gym, I run them exactly the same way for the cleaning business, and that's the reason why. Like all I did was I changed out the offer from fitness into cleaning, and I changed out all the copy. And the original landing page that we used back in 2020 is the same one that we still use today. The same ads, they're still the same ads, the same copy, the same offer. And so as much as like this company is new, like the systems and processes we're using are definitely not new. They're very established. They're very much tested. And so that's why when people who come into the community, into the coaching community, and they're able to utilize these marketing and sales systems, they're like, this works. They're so surprised. And by the way, I remember the same feeling when the first time I ever got taught this marketing and sales system. Does anyone know here who taught me this marketing and sales system? Does anyone know? Some of you guys know my story. Some of you guys don't. Yeah. I was taught by Alex Hormozi, which is like, most people are like, who's that guy? Right? Like, YouTube him or Google him or Instagram, whatever. But a lot of people know who he is because he is now YouTube famous, right? And for good reason, because he's very intelligent. He's very smart. And he's the one who created this for the gym. And I was able to just be able to transition this from the gym into cleaning business, right? And so when people are like, this actually works, like it's a surprise to you, but like it's not a surprise to me because like I saw all those epiphanies that gym owners had all across the country when they use the system. And so it doesn't surprise me when it works for Kayla. It doesn't surprise me when it works for Renee. It doesn't surprise me when it works for Kristen because like I've seen it work already, right? In my business, but I've also seen it work inside the community. Um, Now, let me share with you guys why it wouldn't work, because this is also important. Because everything, again, everything that works can also not work. So we have to understand both sides of it. So the leads part, I wouldn't say it's very difficult to get leads. Okay, with this system, with the system. If you don't have the system, it's very hard to get leads. But here's where you have people who really do, who really excel, versus people who just, you know, barely get by. Because how do we get the 5-to-1 number? It's not just cost per lead. It's not just money spent, but it's money collected. It's money billed. It's money booked. Okay, and so that incorporates sales. And so last week we only had 6 spots unfilled. This week we only have 14 open. Um, our office our office includes Keziah and BJ. And Alaya as well, although she doesn't do much. She's the coacher. She's the coacher. She's not the doer. She's the coach of this business. And they made 385 calls. 75 calls were answered. Holy crap, that's outstanding. 14 were incoming calls missed. That's an outstanding ratio. Like calls answered versus calls missed. Like this can show you how active your office staff is. Okay, really cool numbers. This is the first time I've seen these numbers, by the way, so this is cool. 57 scheduled, 26 showed. I was on a coaching call earlier today, and they're like 50% or show rate is that, like that's not good, is it? Katie, is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like use 50% as a good average for everything. Like if 50% of the people show up to a quote call, that's good. If 50% book, that's good. If 50% of your cleaners show up to a phone interview, that's good. If 50% of cleaners show up to the Zoom interview, that's good. If 50% show up to onboarding, that's good. If 50% of your cleaners make it through training, that's good. Like 50, honestly, is a pretty good number. Like, yes, there's some swings, but like use 50 if you don't know, just use 50 and just assume that like it's a good number to serve as the baseline. Okay. We performed 52 calls, which means our team did 26 calls additionally that were not given to them. So 26 of these quotes that they did, I would say were given to them by the system, but they created 26 more opportunities and they did 52 total quotes, 27 booked for a total of $10,715. Okay. Our goal was 10,609. That's how you get 5-to-1, right? So this 5-to-1 is just a measure of 21 right here. $2,121 times 5 equals 10,609. So our goal was 10,715. Right? That's a 5-to-1. So if you can do 5-to-1, you can stay in business. You actually, I say this, you can continue to stay marketing. That's the better way to say it. Because this basically allows you enough cash to then invest back into marketing again. And then the real goal, and this is where we're really, this is where we're suffering, is the conversions. The conversion is where your profit's going to be. So if you guys want a nice, consistent, predictable, profitable business, it's going to come down to your conversions. But the only way you get conversions is by getting first-time cleans first. Okay. And so this is where, you can see we only got 2. Our goal is 13. But they were $1,000 of recurring revenue, which that part is cool. So again, guys, just to stress, marketing and sales. If you can put $1 in marketing, get $5 back out, like you can continue to market. And if you continue to market, like you'll win. Like the company who can market, who can spend the most money to acquire a customer, it always wins. It's like money wins. And like if you don't have money right now, then you have to create money. And this is how you create money. This is creation. I put $1 and I got $5 out. That's creating. And that's why this is so integral to the growth of your business. Because this is the creation that we're talking about. Because most people don't start with money. I didn't start with money. I created money. And so that's why the system is so powerful, because it teaches you how to create. It's crazy. Okay. Client fulfillment. Again, we had 59 cleans, 16 were brand new, 43 were occasional or reoccurring. We had 4 correction cleans, 155 recurring clients, 138 occasional clients. We had two conversions, 12%, again, very low. Actually, we had 8 Google reviews, and we're actually at 485. So that's where we're at. We're closing on 500. Canceled recurring clients, only two. This is actually one of the best numbers I've seen in a long time. Only two canceled recurring clients. That's exciting. And $310, right? So we had never should have been on recurring. And then Terry just called the office. But you can see here that $310. And then look at this. How many cleans per month? A weekly client at 130, Baller, and Deborah is a biweekly client at 320. So we got $1,000. So that's progress. That's cool to see. Okay, and cool. And then canceled cleans for the week. Yeah, $2,900 we lost from last week. Oh, Robin Spry. I sold her a long time ago. She's an occasional client. But looks like we charged the cancellation fee to 2 people, and yeah, it looks like there's a couple people who are within the cancellation policy, or it looks like most people are outside the cancellation window. So we only charge if they're under 48 hours. Looks like this person, Bonnie Foster, we didn't charge her for some reason. So we'll discover that at our team meeting here, actually right after this call. I'll ask some questions on that. But the cleaner acquisition, this is where our focus has been, is to have the cleaners to be able to put cleans on their schedule so we can continue to serve the current clients, but also add additional clients. So last week we spent $249 on cleaners. We got 71 applicants. We did 36 phone interviews. We had 36 scheduled. We actually performed 26. Out of those 26 performed, we pushed 11 to Zooms. 9 performed. We hired 4 people. So yeah, we definitely have been definitely pushing on the cleaners. And this has been the process for a couple months. We've been hiring 3 or 4 cleaners a week. And so the reality is like they all don't make it. Like 50% make it to onboarding, and then after onboarding, 50% make it into the field, and then only 50% make it past training. And so like, yeah, we've had to increase our output because the resistance of cleaners is like very heavy. Like it's a very strong headwind. This is like 70, 80, 90 per hour winds. I don't know if you guys ever experienced 70, 80, 90, 100 mile an hour per winds, but like it'll move you. It'll move you. Okay, I gotta say. So one time I did experience this. I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and they had this storm that was there, and the storm was like so big that the Weather Channel was there. Like the Weather Channel was here, and it's because these winds were out astronomical. And so I actually got stuck. I got stuck in Sioux Falls, and so I was at a hotel, and then there was a restaurant across the parking lot. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the restaurant. And so like I go out there and I'm like, I'm like getting pushed around. Also, there's a little bit of ice as well. Like the snow and ice was also there. And so like I'm getting pushed around inside this parking lot. I'm like having to like grab things to try to get myself to the next, just like 5 feet ahead of me, 5 feet ahead of me, just trying to get to this freaking restaurant. And then when I got into the restaurant, finally, I looked outside and I just see like the American flag just being like the pole just like, whoop. It's crazy. But anyway, that's what it feels like right now. Like we have a 70-mile-an-hour headwind in front of us, and we just gotta keep grabbing things. We gotta keep moving forward. We gotta keep moving forward. It's harder than normal, but we gotta keep moving forward, right? And so this is what we do. We have a huge pipeline right now, right? And it was cool. Like this morning, I got to meet Clarissa and Olivia. They're in their second week of training, and like they seem like awesome girls. Cute girls, want to be there. Seem like they're like happy. Like a client would like you. Like, I like we talked about this. Can I talk about this a little bit? And like this was a video that Cody Sanchez said one time. She's like, if you do your makeup, you're 30% more. You're 30%. You'll get 30%. What was the video, Kitty? You'll get more
Yeah,
tips.
you'll end up making 30% more in your income. And this
I
is
see.
also like, so Cody Sanchez said this, but we also learned this from Alaya because we asked Alaya. Alaya was the most, before we moved her into the office, Alaya was the most requested cleaner. She got the most tips, and she like had the most Google reviews. And I was just like, what did you do? And she's like, honestly, like a huge part of it is like presentation. Like I just show up put together, and then I also interact with them in a kind manner. But she's like, I keep my caddy clean, I do my hair, I do my makeup. Like I look like I want to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like sometimes like just like try to make yourself look nice. And that's it. Like I actually think that it really is just the attempt. It's just like the attempt, like that's what's noticed. That's what's noticed. And clients will like you more. People like you more. I think that's why like our whole culture is like for women it's around beauty and men it's around money. Like those are the status that like those are the status like those are the hierarchy of status in North American culture is men want money and women want beauty. And again, it's something you can fight or something you can just like recognize as the way it is. Because the more that you try to fight it, like you're gonna be more disappointed because you're not gonna win that battle. And so just understand what it is, and then so you can align yourself with it, and you'll start to actually see the result you're looking for. So anyway, that pipeline. We did lose a couple cleaners. I think all these guys were in training. These three people were in training. Michael, Colin, Michaela, and Elizabeth had just graduated. So, but the rest of those three were in training, which was totally fine. Elizabeth she had just graduated. But yeah, so there we go. There's our pipeline. Cleaner, fulfillment. Taylor. Where's Taylor at? Oh, she was a trainee too. Cool. So 36, 26 for hours, Sadie 29, Heidi 29, Genevieve 28, Josie 19, Courtney 25, and then Emily 22. So those are the cleaner hours for the people who are still on the team. And yeah, we average 19, which is a little bit less than I'd like to see. So $61 a man hour rate, which is great. That's actually really good. And then we had some correction cleans. Michaela, yeah. So I think these are the ones that end up leading Michaela. We actually let her go. So she had attendance issues, and then she also just didn't do a great job cleaning. And so we had to let her go. And then, yeah, Colin, Michaela, and Courtney, these all were calls that we just had to let people go because they weren't meeting the standard. So besides Courtney. Courtney, actually, we offered her a trainer position. So, but yeah. So that was week number 62 at Mesa 5 Star Cleaning. And we just had our team meeting this morning. And like I told Katie, I was like, last week, I was like, I feel like the momentum is coming back a little bit. Like the culture's starting to come back. People are like happy to be there. People actually showing up to the team meeting. And this week, a little bit better. And so I think I just have to reset my expectations of like, I want this to be $1 million company, but like it's a $60,000 a month company right now. It's not an $83,000 a month company. I should reset expectations so we continue to focus on the people. Like we just need more Alyssas on our team. We just need more Sierras on our team, more Sadies. Heidi should definitely be blue as well, right? We should keep on finding more people who you would love to have in your like you could just like love to have in clients' homes. Like if I just like could have 10 Alyssas, this would be a huge business, right? And so for you guys, just continue to find that, like, find your cleaners and then show them appreciation, show them love, and be like, how do I duplicate this person? Sometimes it's by making them a trainer, which Alyssa pointed out today. She's like, I trained Sierra and I trained Sadie and I trained Heidi, right? Like, so we've had one person who's duplicated themselves, right? And she took a lot of pride in that because she brought it up today. And so sometimes you just need one person. You just need one person. And Alaya is an example. I don't know if Alaya's on here, but like Alaya, like she's duplicated herself now in the office, right? Like you don't need a ton of people. You just need one person. You need one person to duplicate themselves. That's your game. You got to find that one superstar and then have them duplicate themselves. And just understand it takes time. It takes time. So, Katie, what else you got today?
Just something to kind of go on the culture building and the trajectory going back in the right, like the energy that we experienced at this morning's team meeting versus the last couple weeks that we got to experience through this chaos. And sometimes we have judgments in our mind. One of our cleaners said this so well today. She remind me, Logan, I don't remember exactly what she said. Do you remember what her phrase was?
Yeah, it's easy to judge and it's hard to understand.
It's easy to judge and it's hard to understand. And I thought that that was so powerful. It was like one of my aha moments of also understanding Keziah's realm in this new leadership role. Like we had built something that was solid and stable, and then we basically passed the baton to Keziah, and we got to watch it crumble under her leadership now. So she took it almost personally, like it was a Keziah problem, and we had to continue to talk to her over the course of the weeks that preceded after everybody was leaving, that it wasn't a Keziah problem. Like this is this is rebuildable. Like we just have to start with a solid foundation again and go up from there. And I think changing the frame of our conversation outward to the team, away from like how things used to be, to just the people who are coming onto the team have no perspective of what we had just gone through. So we don't need to stop. We don't need to keep talking about what we had just gone through. We just need to continue to invest in these people and believe without judgment that they are capable of being A cleaners. And then once they aren't, we confront it right away. We don't necessarily need to let them go right away, but we need to confront it right away to elevate them to the standard that is required to become an A player. And if they don't, like, how many C players can we tolerate, and what performance can we tolerate within that C playing realm? Is reliability like no call, no show? Is that something that we would ever tolerate? Absolutely not. So you have to like define your non-negotiables, but not let what you just experienced in the past hinder the people who are just now coming onto the team.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. It's almost like the analogy I hear all this time is like I invested in a really bad coaching program before, and so now like I'll never invest in coaching again. And it's funny, like Renee Krause, a couple other people, like you guys have all said those same things, and then all of a sudden you guys invested in the coaching program. You're like, right? Like you can't let one mistake in the past stop you from making a good decision in the future. I think a lot of people do that. And so whether it's coaching, whether it's just like hiring people, whatever it is, like you don't learn if you say, I'm not going to do it again. You say, you learn by doing it again, but this time you have more context on how to do it again. Right. So appreciate you guys so much for showing today. Happy Monday. Again, if you guys are inside the coaching community, there's a sales coaching call tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, there is the open coaching call. And then Jessica and Lucas are also sharing their journey to go from to $100,000 a month. They started in the community at $13,000 a month after 10 years in business. And yeah, they're knocking on the door of $100,000 a month after 2 years being inside the community. And so if you guys are not inside the community, there should be a link somewhere you guys can apply to check it out. And if you are not interested in coaching and you just want more free stuff, well, there's another free call on Friday. And there's actually free calls every single Friday, and you can see all the calls inside the school group. And you guys should be on Jessica and Lucas's call also. It's a free call. And then Kayla Irby, who's also inside the community, she's on the road to $2 million a year, and you guys can see her call. It's all free. It's all inside the school group. So either way, depending on where you guys are at, if you guys are just wanting, if you guys are not wanting the accountability, that's really why you want coaching. You want someone to hold you accountable to your goals. Kind of like I said earlier, the whole reason that we do this call is to be held accountable, and that's one of the fastest ways to grow, is because it's really easy to talk yourself out of things. So, but if you actually want that accountability, if you want a personalized coach, you want somebody who's actually done what you want to do, and be inside a community where other people have already done it, and other people who are also doing it, or who are on the journey with you, people behind you, same as you, and in front of you, and that's why you would want to do the coaching program. So appreciate you guys so much. Happy Monday.